Hello, my fellow reefers. This is Fragbox TV. I'm actually very excited to do today's video because we're going to be talking all about clams. Okay, where do we start? This is going to be a little bit longer than usual. I want to talk to you about how to keep saltwater clams. So we got in some very nice, very healthy, beautiful colors, beautiful patterns. You always hear me say in the videos, oh, the camera is not picking up the color. Oh, you can't see what this looks like in person. Those statements have never been truer than right now. These things are just incredible in person, and there's no way this camera is going to do them justice. But let's get started. Anyways, in the hobby, there are 4 clams that I know of that we get in the aquarium trade. So those are Crocea, Squamosa, Maxima, and Derasa. So what I have here today to show you are Maximas. That's a Maxima on the right, and that's a Derasa there on the left. So you can tell them apart by their patterns and also from their shells. So the Derasa has this distinct sort of like a softer shell without the ridges, and then your Maxima starts to get into those ridges, and then you have your Squamosas and Croceas, but I don't have any to show you. Oh, actually, I think I do. Sorry, here is a beautiful Squamosa in Tia's Evo that you may have seen in some of our other videos, but I don't have a Crocea to show you today. So we're going to look at 3 of the 4 and we'll talk about all 4 of them, but I only got 3 to show you. Okay, so I think clams in the hobby get a kind of a bad rap of being hard to keep, but I don't think that is necessarily true. The easiest is going to be the Squamosa, like the one I just showed you in Tia's tank, followed up by, I guess, Crocea, Maxima, Derasa, all sort of tied. Maybe Derasa, I'm going to get into lighting because they're the lowest in terms of like lighting requirements. But the key to keeping one healthy, I would say, is first starting off with a healthy clam. So if you have a chance to buy one, what you want to check for is photosensitivity. So this kind of cool thing with clams, if you see how they close when you run your hands over the light, that is a very good sign of a healthy clam. So run your hands over the light. These ones are under T5. This is probably our highest lighting par tank here in the store. So these guys are getting, I want to say, close to 400 par. Later in the video, I'm going to grab the par meter and show you exactly what they are getting. But that is a very good sign. Don't ever buy a clam that isn't closing. Something's wrong with it. So I'll show you one more time. You just run your hands sort of over the lights, and then you can see how they react. It's really cool. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, very good sign. So starting with the healthy clam is going to make it a lot easier to keeping it healthy. So you also want to look at the mantle. So you see how this beautiful one here is just fully open. You want to make sure that it doesn't have any pinches, or that it's not curling inwards. So I'm trying to look for an unhealthy ones. These ones showed up really healthy. I don't really have one that's not all reacting to light that's unhealthy. But yeah, if you see any of them that are not opening fully or that are curling or pinching, that could be a sign of a pest. So there are these little stupid snails that happen to eat them. It could be a sign that it's just unhappy in general. A strong foot on the clam is also another good thing to look for. You may not have the opportunity to see that if you're buying one, but as they attach, they well, these are, oh, this guy's actually already attached after 1 day, so he's got a good foot. He's here attached to the frag rack. I think he may have actually attached to another clam. Sorry, buddy, just doing this for the video. So that's a good sign there. They have a foot. They can sometimes drop the foot, which is not necessarily a death sentence. It's not good, but it's, you know, sometimes under stress. I think there's a few down here on the bottom. They do regrow back fairly easily. So there's a foot that's fallen off one. I can't tell which clam that these are from. Maybe we can see some feet coming through here. But yeah, before you even get into thinking about keeping a clam in your reef tank, you're going to want to avoid them if you keep any angelfish, because in my experience, angelfish are going to nip at them. Even coral beauties, if you're keeping any of those, avoid keeping a clam with angelfish. It's, I think, a recipe for disaster. Even copper band butterflies tend to take a liking to them. I've seen rabbitfish eat them. I even had a blonde naso years ago that took a liking to them. So I guess any fish really could eat them. They're probably tasty. You know, we eat clams as people. Maybe they taste good for the fish. I don't know. But if you're keeping angels, forget about the clams. So in terms of water parameters, they're not they don't need any special crazy requirements that are different than keeping coral. So they like lower nitrates, lower phosphates, but really just consistency, I would say, is key, just like keeping corals in general. Okay, so what do I mean consistency? Consistency that's keeping your salt, your alkalinity, and more specifically your calcium, all within acceptable ranges for a reef tank. So I think for calcium we're shooting for about 450, maybe a little bit elevated if you want to keep a clam. But yeah, they're really not that difficult. They can actually suck up nitrates and phosphates from the water, and they act as a natural filter. So they have these two mouths on them, one that pulls in and one that shoots out, kind of like a mouth and a butt. But they actually filter naturally the water and can help clean it when they get to some of these largest sizes. These ones are about 4 to 6 inches, so they're quite large. We usually get them in quite a bit smaller, but these ones pretty cool because they came in a lot larger. In terms of placement, so Squamosa can go on the sand bed or the rock. Now if you read online, they're going to say that you can only keep Squamosa on the rock. From my experience, that's just, only on the sand. Most places will say you can only keep Squamosa on the sand. It's simply not true, in my experience. This Squamosa has been here for about a year. It's tripled in size. The color's incredible. It's growing, it's happy, and it's nestled nicely into a rock. So Squamosa is one of those ones you could do either rock or sand. That's not the same for all clams. So these Derasa clams here, they like a softer substrate, and they're going to want to be in the sand. I wouldn't put a Derasa in the rock, but then your Croceas and your Maximas here, they are rock-boring clams, so they want a harder substrate, and Croceas actually release an acid from their foot, which will bury or chisel out some of the rock so that they can really burrow in. So once you have a Crocea or a Maxima that's burrowed into the rock, you better like it in that spot because you don't want to move it. And then in terms of flow, I think all of them, medium flow. Not too little and not too much, or they're simply not going to open. And then more importantly, we're going to talk about the light. So clams love light. That being said, we do have some that are lower down. These ones, we do keep them here under higher light. They seem to be really happy and do well. If your lights aren't that strong, you still want to keep one, go for a Derasa. These ones here, they are probably the lowest light demanding out of all of them. Maximas like more, Squamosas like more. But I do have some at the bottom of the tank, and before the end of the video, I am going to do some PAR readings to show you what exactly we're keeping them under. So clams under, I would say, 1.5 inches. They should be fed. I like this brand right here. This is Reef Nutrition's Live Phyto. There are other options that are not live, but this is the one we personally use. After 1.5 to 2 inches, they start to filter the water column. They and they'll basically grow and stay alive just from filtering, and they're also going to convert the light into food. They photosynthesize exactly the way a coral does. But if you're going to go for a smaller clam, which I like, it's really cool to get baby ones. They're really cute, and you can watch them grow. You're going to want a food source for them. It can help them color up. It's going to help them stay alive, and I would feed them about once a week. Just follow the directions of whichever one you're going to go with. But keep in mind, clams are an investment, and if you take care of them, they can live up to 20 years. Other than that, for feeding it, they don't really need any sort of special supplementation. The most important, again, is being calcium. They do consume quite a bit of it, so if you're going to keep one or two or a few clams in your tank, you're going to want to keep a closer eye on the calcium levels. Now, the next point I want to stress about clams, and it's kind of the secret to keeping them, is not to move them around. So if you have it happy and open in one spot in your tank, leave that thing alone, because it's trying to adapt to your tank, and it's trying to attach its foot, and every time you decide to move it, you're stressing it out and you're pissing it off, and it has to try and reattach its foot in a new place. So I find that's probably one of the biggest problems hobbyists have in trying to keep a clam in their aquarium, is just constantly touching it. Like if it doesn't open for a day or half a day, they think something's wrong, and they put their hands in and they continue to move it, and you actually end up making it a lot worse. So once you have it happy and open in one spot, just let the thing be. Another thing to note about clams, there's this thing out there called burping. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I've never burped a clam before. I think it's false. I've handled thousands of them, take them out of the water, move them, sell them, box them, ship them. I've never once burped a clam. I've never had any ill repercussions. So I'm just going to say I don't think it's necessary. If you want to learn more about burping, maybe look it up. I don't really do it, so I can't talk to you about it, but yeah, that's it on burping. And when is the right time to add a clam? You know, if the tank is brand new, obviously don't go out and add a clam. They're quite expensive and alive. You don't want to kill anything. But once the tank is cycled, there really isn't any reason why you can't keep one. So don't add them first. You know, maybe try some softies, LPS, SPS. Once you're comfortable with the levels in the tank, everything is consistent and stable, and you're keeping other corals, yeah, give it a shot. They're not really any much harder than keeping, you know, any LPS coral or SPS coral out there. So tank's a little dirty, sorry, you know, the glass isn't up to YouTube par, but standards. Just want to show you what it's getting here. It's only getting 100, and that's surprisingly low. 100, about 100, 120-ish. Yeah, that's kind of low, but it seems happy. This is a Maxima clam, so I'm used to keeping them under much higher light, but I'm just trying to show you in the video that they don't need crazy light. So it's been in this tank for about 5 months now, maybe 4 months. Yeah. It's growing, it's happy, it's healthy, it's open every single day. Okay, let's check out the Squamosa and Tia's Evo here. Yeah, that looks about right. And what are we getting? Same, about the same. 120, 130-ish, yeah. And this one has been in here way longer, and I'm telling you, it's tripled in size. So that's, yeah, surprisingly low for keeping a clam happy. Let's try one more time.
Only 100.
Only 100, huh? Oh wow, I thought it'd be much higher. 150-ish. Yeah, 150-ish. These are the more light demanding.
Let's put it like right in the middle.
Yeah, Maximas.
180.
180. Yeah. So they can tolerate more light, but they don't necessarily need crazy light. I think, you know, if you read online, there's just sort of this conception that clams are like the most light demanding animal that you're ever going to keep in your reef tank. And I think that's simply not true. These ones will probably be here for, you know, a few months before they're all gone and sent to their forever homes. Yeah, I'm really impressed with them. If you guys got any questions at all about reef tanks, keeping clams, if anything wasn't clear, if you want to talk about Tia's killer Evo here in the store, I'm going to leave our contact info at the end of the video. As usual, you can always reach out to us, give us a call on the phone, anything like that. My name is March, and this is Fragbox TV.